Okay, everyone, good evening and welcome to tonight's workshop. We're very pleased that you're able to join us for What Do Your Members Think About Your Club? This is the fourth session in our virtual workshop series. And for the next few months, we will offer a workshop or learning opportunity every Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. Please take advantage of these free sessions and encourage others in your club to register as well. You should have received notice about our January workshops via email, but if you haven't, please send me an email and we will look into it. My email address will be dropped in the chat, education@newenglandkiwanis.org. And you'll also find a link for our January workshops to register for others if you haven't already. So before we start tonight's workshop, some housekeeping. Please make sure you mute yourself so that we assure an uninterrupted presentation. If you are new to Zoom, you'll find the mute button in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. If you see a line through the microphone icon, that indicates that you are muted. And if not, just click or tap on the microphone to put yourself on mute. We do encourage you to keep your camera on if you are willing. It's really nice to see everyone's faces, and it really gives us the feeling that we are in an in-person workshop, which is always nice in Kiwanis. We invite you to introduce yourself in the chat. You can type your name and your club and say hello to everybody who's joining us this evening. You can also ask questions for tonight's presenters in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, you can leave a comment on the live stream with your questions, and we'll grab those to ask our presenters during our question and answer periods. So please don't be shy, and you can drop questions at any point during tonight's workshop. And lastly, tonight's presentation will be about an hour. We are live streaming to Facebook, and we will have a recording uploaded to our district YouTube channel, as well as on our Facebook page. So with that, let's get started. Tonight, you will learn how to survey your members, analyze the results, and implement necessary changes. We have two outstanding presenters from the Kiwanis Club of Hooksett, New Hampshire, who will be speaking from their own experience of conducting club surveys. We have Robert Wiley, who is Division 6 Lieutenant Governor and the co-chair of the District Membership Growth and Retention Committee, and Sandra Mack, who I believe is immediate past president, if not still president of the Hooksett Kiwanis Club. I'm sure she'll clarify that. And they've put together a really informative presentation for tonight. It's interactive and it has a lot of good information. So I'm really excited for them to get started. So without further ado, here are Bob and Sandra for our workshop. What do your members think about your club?
Thank you very much, Brian. And you did get those intros correct. And Sandra is the immediate past president. And we also have one additional presenter who will be on for a brief time, and that is Tim Sweeney. Tim Sweeney is a member of the Hooksett Club, but he's also a member of the Manchester Club. And the reason that we have him coming on board with us is because pretty much at the same time that we did our survey about a year and a half ago, Manchester did one as well. And I think that they even did something a little bit more dramatic than we did with their results. So we're going to have him speak briefly about that. So just wanted to bring that out, and also want to thank Brian and Elise for being in the background, helping us out, and they'll be gathering all the chat questions and any technical issues that come up. And Elise is going to do an excellent job, I'm sure, when we go to our breakout session. So if people haven't done that before, I think you'll really enjoy that part of the presentation. So to go ahead and get started, just a show of hands here, how many people in their clubs have done a membership survey, say, in the last 5 years? Just a show of hands. Looks like about 5 or 6. Okay, how many have done one in the last 2 years? Okay, that's 3. And how many are planning to do one this year? Actually, you know what? I'd like that. I'm seeing several hands come up for this year. I think this year is probably one of the most important years to do a membership survey because of what's going on with the pandemic. There are so many clubs that are not doing much at this point, and therefore there's a lot of members that are feeling disinterested or unassociated with what the club is doing or what is going on in the community. So it's probably most important if you can try to get one done, even if it's just a brief thing in terms of putting together a few questions and have it be important and relative to what's going on with the pandemic and what your club might be doing during the pandemic. Because there are probably some people that, if your club is doing something, there's probably people in the club that don't even know that you're doing anything, unless you're promoting it and unless you're really getting out there and letting people know that things are happening and you're trying to recruit people to help you out with anything that you might be doing. So again, I appreciate the fact that there's 4 or 5 people that are looking to try to get their club to do one this year, and I encourage you to try to do that. So having
I'm going to go ahead and share the agenda. Do you want to bring that up?
Sure. Thank you, Sandra.
There it is. All right.
Okay, so here's our agenda. I just went through the brief presentation, and then we're going to go into building the sample survey and the question. And we're going to have a short question and answer period before we go into the breakout session, so that with the presentation that we're going to do, if you have any questions before going into the breakout session, then you'll have a good idea of what we're going to do, so you won't go into the breakout session and say, geez, I forgot what we're supposed to do. And then we're going to do the breakout session for a short period. Then we're going to review the membership survey results that we had as Hooksett as well as Manchester. And then we'll talk a little bit about any questions and answers that you might have for the whole program. Hopefully that all makes sense to everybody. And we'll go ahead and get started now. Sandra's going to put up the presentation itself, and I'll just kind of go through there.
So can everyone see the can you see the presentation? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not on mute. It's just a thumbs up. Can you see that, Bob? The presentation?
We can.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, so the Kiwanis membership survey presentation. What do your members think about your club? This is basically what we're going to talk about tonight. So the rationale for a member survey, it's important to have this so that you're retaining members and keeping members engaged. New members and retaining members equally important, especially during this pandemic. Now, I know that we just finished a new member campaign, if you will, for free membership. And it was probably easy, but not so easy of getting members. Easy because they don't have to pay anything, but not so easy because they're not going to be doing too much. So I think it's important that you get these people involved and know that what's going on in the club, and see if they have any ideas, and you work on these ideas so that after the pandemic is over, then you can go into full mode and try to get things going. Make sure the club serves members and therefore serves the community. If you're serving the members, then you should be serving the community at the same time. So anything that you're coming up with, the members should enjoy it, but also the community has got to benefit from it. And our service projects, things which are important to members and the community alike. Same thing that I just went through there. Next, Sandra. Thank you. Present the plan to the stakeholders, which is your club. This is very important. The very first thing you have to do is you have to get buy-in from your club board. So what you do is you put together, your membership committee draws up a rough draft of what you want the member survey to look like, present it to the board, and make sure that you have buy-in from the board so that when it goes to the full membership, then you say, oh, guess what? The club is already, our club board has already approved this. So hopefully everybody else is on board, and then you're a go. Next. Okay. What areas do you want to focus on for the survey? So there's several different things that you can look at. Community service projects, what community service projects you're doing. Ask the question whether the people feel comfortable about the projects that you're doing. They like the projects that you're doing. Maybe is there other projects that you might be doing that would interest people. Meetings, ask questions about the meetings. Are they too often? Are they not often enough? Is the location not good? Or is the night not good? Those types of things. Those are just some ideas that you can put out there. And don't try to put a lot of questions out, because people are only going to answer probably 5, 6 questions, 10 tops. So if you want to ask a question about meetings, maybe you just say, the meeting night, is that the best night for you, or something to that effect. Communications, ask a question about communications. What types of communications do you do? Whether you do a newsletter, whether you do everything on Facebook, or if you do it on the web, whatever it is, people will give you some feedback of whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Public relations, again, how do you do that? Well, are you doing it through local newspaper? Are you doing it a lot through Facebook, Twitter, whatever the form might be? People will gravitate to that and give you an answer. Kiwanis organization. This is a real good one, and I think that you'll find your response is very interesting from most clubs, including ourselves, which, we have 100 people in our club, and this is probably one of our biggest concerns that came back, and that is they didn't understand what the Kiwanis organization was all about. And I'm not talking about your own club, but oftentimes you'll speak at a meeting and you'll say, oh, the district said we should be doing this, or Kiwanis International, this is something that's coming up with them. And then you say, the people will sit there and they'll scratch their head and they'll say, well, I don't understand, how does this all fall into place? So you need to probably take a step back, if that's the case, and try to explain the organization, whether it's through your newsletter or whether it's through some sort of just other communication. Put it on your website, whatever the case may be, but try to make that important. So the committee and/or volunteer participation, you need to look at that as well. See, question, how many committees do somebody participate in, or what volunteer projects, how many do they participate in? And again, given the pandemic, ask these questions that are relevant with what you're currently doing as a club. Some clubs may still be doing some things, whether they're virtual. They might be having a virtual raffle, or they might be putting together some gift baskets for the healthcare people and so forth. So those are the types of things. If you're going to do a survey this year, concentrate on those types of things so that, again, people know that you're doing something. Okay, Sandra? Okay, determine the methods of the survey. There's several different ways that you can survey people. Interview members individually, whether that be on the phone or however you might want to do it. Obviously, you won't be doing things in person right now, but you could do that, or you could interview a person virtually, however you want to do that. You can do an anonymous survey, which I would recommend strongly, because you get your best response on that. With our survey, we had 90 some members at the time, and we had almost 50 people that responded to it. So we were very pleased with that, almost a 50% return, which is very good for a survey. And I think that the Manchester group, and when Tim gets up to talk a little bit about his, I think his was even higher. So that was good to hear. Open forum. You can do just kind of at one of your meetings, you can have that type of a survey done there. Sometimes that's a little challenging because some people won't open up in an open forum. So you have to consider that. And visual assessment or observation. So I can look around even tonight and see whether this whole thing is working or not. But that's going to be very subjective. So you have to be careful of that. Next slide, Sandra. Determine the type of question. Okay, so again, there's different types of questions you can ask. You can ask a rating scale. For those of you who don't know what a rating scale is, I think many of you do, but you can say strongly agree, mostly agree, strongly disagree type of thing. Those are the types of things. There's like 4 or 5 variables that you can do. Some people like that because then you don't have one particular answer and you can kind of grade it that way. Multiple choice questions are always good. Simple yes and no questions, those are easy and people love to answer those because they're very quick. Follow-up questions required. So in other words, if you ask a question and somebody answers yes to it, then you maybe you say, okay, you can skip the next question, but if the answer no, then you say, okay, then the next question, please answer that one. And open-ended questions. These are always good, but don't make them all open-ended questions because people aren't going to want to write a lot. They don't mind writing a little bit if you have 1 or 2 questions, but if all your questions are open-ended, you may not get as good results and as many people doing it as you would like. Okay. Options to survey. Okay, so we have an online, a SurveyMonkey, which many of you may be familiar with. You can do a free version of SurveyMonkey, which is a very basic, or you can pay a little extra and you get more bells and whistles. Google Forms, which is becoming very popular, and it's free. Then you could also do an email survey. You could do a phone survey, or you could do a snail mail. I don't think many people do those anymore, but that option is still available. Online survey. SurveyMonkey, like I said, the basic is free with limitations, and the Google Forms is free.
And Bob, I'm just going to jump in and say here
Sure.
that we'll share a copy of the presentation. And so you'll see that there's links in there. So if you wanted to go straight to SurveyMonkey, you can click from within the survey. If you wanted to be able to access Google Forms, you could click on this link within the survey. So you'll see within the presentation. So you'll see there's different links that you'll be able to open up other items. So we'll make sure to share the survey. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, analyze the results. Keep it simple and understandable. Originally, we had in there KISS, but we removed that. I think everybody knows what KISS stands for, but anyway, so it's just keep it simple and understandable. Let numbers tell the story. Don't try to put too much of your own feelings into it. Just let the numbers tell the story. Try to remain objective, just like I just said. You just let the numbers tell the whole story. Use graphics and charts to explain the results. When we did ours, what we did is we actually showed with pie charts the results, and people really gravitated to that because they can look at the responses and they said, oh, 75% of the people responded this way. and you can see it actually on a pie chart. And it just really jumps out at you. So using the graphics makes it so much easier and more willing for people to follow. Action plan derived or developed from the data results. This is the most important thing, obviously. So when you get your results, you go back to your board, at first the committee and then to the board, and say, this is what we're seeing here. This is what our recommendations would be. What do you guys think? Okay. Present survey results. Action plan. Review the results in detail as a committee. Share the results with the board, as I just mentioned. Share the results with the members in a user-friendly way. Slideshow with highlights, charts, graphs, etc. What we did in our example was, when it came time to do the results, we actually did it at a meeting, a dinner meeting, and we spent about 10 minutes just going through the highlighting the bullet points, if you will, with the pie charts, with some sort of graphics, just so that people will again be willing to listen to it. Don't be just up there talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Just say, here's the highlights, and then identify what the top concerns are and what will the club do to address these concerns. Okay. Situation. Okay, so in the Hooksett situation, the club had grown from approximately 80 members to approximately 100 members. However, member participation in dinner meetings and events did not grow correspondingly. So that's probably not a unique problem. I think that everybody knows the old 80-20 rule, that 20% of the people are going to do 80% of the work. And that's what we were finding. And we're also finding that we were not getting any more people necessarily coming to dinner meetings, even though we were getting more members in the club. So that's why we put a focus on, those were the things that we wanted to address. And number one is dinner meetings, how we could get more people to attend dinner meetings. And two, how we could get more people to participate in the events. And that's what we said there for the focus: dinner meetings, club, community events, and service projects. Implement changes if results indicate, as they indicate. So with the Hooksett Club, we reviewed with members reasons for expanding beyond local community. One of the things that we were trying to do 2 years ago was trying to create a new club. And the reason being is because we don't have a high school in our town. So our students attend several different high schools. And one of the high schools that a lot of them attended did not have a key club. However, a lot of the kids that were coming from the Hooksett were in builders clubs from the middle school, and so they wanted to have a key club. So that's what we did, was we built the key club at the high school. But then we felt, okay, if we're going to do that, because the high school is 20 miles away from us, we said maybe we should try to build a Kiwanis club there at the same time. So some of our current club members didn't quite understand that. So we spent a lot of time explaining to them the rationale for that. And then again, I mentioned this earlier on, incorporate international district info in the newsletters and present at dinner meetings. That was a problem that a lot of people didn't understand what International Kiwanis was all about, and how related to their own club. Realize some challenges that may not be able to change. One of the shortcomings that we had with our dinner meetings is that our place was limited as to the number of people that could be attending, and also there was a noise issue that we couldn't do too much about. We did a little bit of work on it, but those are some challenges that you just have to realize that there's not going to be too much that you can do about it, and try to explain that to the club. And Manchester, I'm just going to talk about this briefly, and later on I'll get Tim to talk about it. they had a concern about their meeting time. They were getting less and less people going to their lunch and dinner meetings. They had one dinner meeting a month and one lunch meeting a month, and they weren't getting people to go to either one actually. So they did a survey, and they found out that people wanted to go to breakfast meetings. So that's what they did. I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, Tim, but you can talk about that a little bit more later on. Okay, so now it's demo time. So now I'm going to turn it over to Sandra, and she's the guru on the Google Forms. So,
All right.
there you go, Sandra.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to switch sharing my screen so that you'll be able to see it. Oops, I'm going up here to do a new share. Oops, sorry, one moment. I'm actually gonna stop sharing for a moment and share again. So can you see the Google screen?
Yes.
So the way that you would go in with Google Forms, and I really like Google Forms more than SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey is definitely a great tool. It allows you to go in and create a survey as well, but is limited with the number of questions. And so when you get to a certain number of questions, then you have to pay a fee for that. With Google Forms being part of the Google Suite, all you have to do is go in and access google.com, and you'll see that either up here on the, and if you can see my mouse, I was going to try and change it, but up here on the left, you'll see that it says apps. You can go in that way with the grid, or over here on, I'm going to move my thing. And if you have a hard time seeing, you can actually grab hold of the pictures of everyone, the screen, and you can move it around. So for some reason I'm showing something and you can't see it, if you might have the tile of people on the right hand side, you can just grab that and you can move it so that you can see different things on the screen. So I'm going to go in up here on the top right, and I'm going to access Google Forms, and this is all free. And then it's going to bring me into my forms, and I'm going to create a blank form. I have a lot of other forms out here, but I'm going to create a blank form, which is the plus sign here. And so now you're ready to start. So I'm going to actually put in a few questions that we did from our survey and walk you through some different kinds so you can see that. So the title, I'm just going to call it a membership survey here, which is the Google form name. It populates it. If you want to change it, it can be something else. And my first question, I click on it, starts you out, and I might say, how many dinner meetings do you normally attend per year? If that's a question you want. So I just type it in, how many, I hope I don't make too many mistakes typing with everyone backspacing. How many meetings do you normally attend per year? And then it reads that and says, do you want that to be a multiple choice? You can make it whatever type you want. You can make it a fill-in. Here, when I click on this little multiple choice, this tells me the different types of questions. So I have different types of questions: short answer, paragraph, multiple choice. I'll show you a checkbox. There's drop downs. So there's different types of questions, question formats that you can choose. I'm just going to make this option A. I'm going to say I have 0. Oops. And then I'm going to give a choice of, it says add another option. So I'm going to put a range of 1 to 5. I'm going to scroll up, and then I'm going to add another option of 6 or more. So this would be your multiple choice. I'm going to do probably 3 or 4 different types of questions, and then I'm going to go into view so that you could preview so you could see what it looks like. So here's my first question. To add another question, I just hit a plus sign and it drops another question down below. So I'm going to choose. So then this is where Bob was talking about having follow-up questions. So if I said, if you do not attend dinner meetings, please select all the reasons that apply below. And so it reads it and it assumes that you want it to be a checkbox. A multiple choice just lets you choose only one answer. A checkbox lets you choose as many as you're selecting. So some of the ones we had here was time doesn't work for me. Then I click this add option. It lets me add another one. Speakers not interesting was something we said. I can click another option. It says venue doesn't work for me. I'm going to scroll up so you can see it. I'll choose one more option, such as meal choices. And we had quite a few options there, but I won't enter them in. Meal choices. So this is an example of a checkbox. If you change your mind, you can just X here and it'll allow you to click and remove it. If I didn't want meal choices, I just exit. If I want it back, I just type it. So it really is very user friendly. I go over here again, I say add another question. And so I'm gonna choose, the next one was how many dinner meetings, oops, I just did that one. Then, and what we actually had in there is we separated it so that you could see one part of the survey was about dinner meetings. The next part of the survey was about community service projects. So I'll do 2 more questions for us. The next one was how many Kiwanis community service projects do you volunteer for during the year? And then we also put in parentheses examples of some of those, but I won't type all that in. Now you'll notice here, it thinks it's a short answer text. I can go up here and I can choose multiple choice because that's what I want it to be. And I can choose 0. And for my next answer, I can say 1 or more. And I keep scrolling down. And I'm going to show you something here about adding a title. So I just went over here. I don't know if everyone can see. Right over here is a menu bar. I'm going to hopefully, there you go, move it so that move it up so you can see it. Here's my plus that I can add new questions. This is if you have questions someone's already used, you can import them and bring them in from another form. This is adding a title and description to make it a little cleaner for people to be able to see and a little more organized. So I can add a title here that says community service projects in front of before the questions. You might look here and be like, well, it's not in the right place. I don't want it there. Well, what we can do is this little, right here, you can see there's 6 little circles or dots. I move my mouse there and I can just move it up. So you can just build the survey and then you can decide, I want to move this, I want to move this one, I want to change the order. So I'm going to do one more title and notice it's down here and I'm going to title it dinner meetings so you can see it. And then I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move it up so it's actually in front of the dinner meetings. So here's my membership survey. Here I can put like a little explanation, please complete the survey, blah, blah, blah. Dinner meetings title, how many dinner meetings do you normally attend per year? If you do not attend dinner meetings, please select all the reasons that apply below. Then here's my community service separator. And then how many Kiwanis community service, oops, I think I missed a word, community service projects in Look how simple it is just to go in, click, and just insert. How many Kiwanis community service projects do you volunteer for this year? Multiple choice. And then I'm just going to do a short answer and something that says, what do you like most about Kiwanis? And then it could be a long answer text. So this is an open-ended one. If you want to limit because you don't want someone responding with like a 250 word essay, you can make it a short answer and then it limits the amount of space. When I go back up to this one, each time you click, it brings you in there. I can click here on the little pieces of the paper here icon. It'll allow me to duplicate a question. So if I had similar questions, I can just click that and then I can go in and change it. If I change my mind, I can delete. One of the things that is important, if you want people to definitely answer a question and not skip it, here's the little required. And you will notice when I show you the preview, there'll be an asterisk. I'm going to click on this one because it says if you do not attend, this one is not required because what if you do attend meetings? I'll leave that one. Community service projects. I definitely want you to tell me about your answer the community service. So I made it required. And then I'm going to add, and then below that, I'm going to just add one more under here so you can see it about the community service projects. And then it said it was the same if you do not participate in community service projects, please select all the reasons that apply. We did this two-step because telling us how many you attend was just not enough. We wanted to know the reason why if you didn't. And then we had a couple options, timing of events, not convenient. And then another option we had here, don't like volunteering for events. And then the last one I'll put, we had more, and one was finding the time. So we had other answers. So here's the survey. And then I'm going to go up. I'm going to walk you back through. Here's my dinner meetings title. Here's a question, how many dinner meetings? Here's my multiple choice. Here's my, if I do not attend dinner meetings, check the ones that apply. Here's my community service title in between to show the next section. And then here's another multiple choice. And then here's the related, if you did not, check boxes, and then an open-ended. When you feel like your survey is ready to just take a look at, and you can do this anytime. One of the things I like to do is there's always these wonderful little choose images. So say you want a little bubbles here. Let me choose sorry, I'm going to click here so you can see that. And then I'm going to insert it. So then it gives you just a little, looks like this. It just makes it a little fancy. You can make it look whatever way you want. Now I'm going to click preview so that I can see what it looks like. This is what the survey actually looks like. So if you can't see, you can move your tile of people off to the right, and then you'll be able to see the survey. This little asterisk says required. Here's my header for dinner meetings. So now I'm in the mode that I want to test it out. This is what I would be sending to people. How many dinner meetings do you normally attend per year? I'll say 1 to 5. And then I'll skip this one because I attend dinner meetings. Community service projects. How many Kiwanis community service projects do you volunteer for during the year? I'll say 0. And then it'll say, if you do not participate in community service projects, please select all the reasons. I'll select 2 of these. And then I'm going to leave this blank because I really don't want to fill out the short answer. And then as the end user, the member filling it out, I click submit. It's that simple. I'm going to enter 2 more responses so then you can actually see the bar chart and the graphs that come from it. So I'm going to enter it as another. So dinner meetings, how many dinner meetings do I? 0, I'm going to say. If you do not, meal choices, speakers not interesting, community service projects, I do 1 or more. And here, what do you like most about Kiwanis? Let's say community service. And then I submit. And I'm going to do 1 more so that you can then see the graphs. So this one I attend, I'm going to say 0 here again so you can see. I'm going to click speakers not interesting, meal choices, community service projects, 0. And I'm going to click don't like volunteering, submit. So now you've had 3 people submit the survey. I'm going to go back in. So now I'm looking at the survey. I had 3 people submit the survey. And I'm going to, oops. If you take a look at the top of my screen, I don't know if you can see my pointer. Right now, there's 2 tabs open. One is the membership survey where people are filling it out. That's the preview, that's the final version. And over here is the edit mode. So there's edit mode. I'm creating the survey, and then I preview the survey, and this is where people would actually enter. In order for you to view the results, you have to go back into edit mode for your survey, and you will see up here questions and responses. So if I click on questions, I'm actually gonna, oops, get rid of what I'm moving my screen here and closing this out. Oops. I'm going to click on it. I need to go, I'm not in questions. I apologize. I need to go into responses. So now I want to look at the data that people just filled out. Here I am with 3 responses. It shows me, and these are the great charts and graphs. So this is just with 3 responses. It shows me, you know what? 66% of the people who filled out the survey said they attend 0. 33% said they attend 1 to 5. So when you go to review this data, it's very easy for you to see because of the charts and graphs. It's very visual to be able to view it. If you do not attend dinner meetings, then it gives you a bar chart. The reasons I don't attend dinner meetings is 2 people said speakers are not interesting. 2 said the meal choices. Then I'm on to my next section. How many community service projects do you volunteer for? 66% said 0, 33% said 1 or more. And then this gives me, oh, well, those who said they did not, timing of events not convenient, don't like volunteering for events, finding time. This is just a small data pool of it. So when you have a larger group, you'll see the bar charts. When you have more information, the graphs will be more relevant. The last piece I want to show you is this little green icon here is a spreadsheet. Where people are familiar with Microsoft Excel, in the Google suite, it's called Google Sheets, and it looks like this. So you can actually view the responses this way, or you can say, hey, I actually want to look at it in spreadsheet form. Actually, before I do that, I want to show you one more thing. Does everybody see this word over here is individual? Here's my summary. I can view my answers by summary. I can go in and I can view the individual answers and see what people actually selected and the responses for each one by question, or I can go in and I can view the individual surveys and say, person 1, this is what they answered, how they answered. Person 2, these are the specific answers if you wanted to see it that way. I think the summary is really easy to view, but sometimes you want to dig a little deeper. If you want to see it in a spreadsheet format, you click on this little Google Sheet green icon and it says create a new spreadsheet. And now I have this, if you can't see it, just move your tiles down. And now I have a spreadsheet that if I wanted to sort data to be like, okay, sort this column, I could see how many people chose 0, how many people chose 1. So it allows you to sort and do that. I'm gonna just stop there, and stop sharing my screen. And I know we were gonna take a quick question and answer before we went into breakout. Is that correct, Bob? Yes.
Yes.
Right. So I'll ask
Brian or
Brian
Elise,
or Elise if there's any questions in the chat.
We do have a couple questions. Vanna here is going to read them to you. I think I'm Vanna this week. It's usually Brian. One of the questions is, my club is very traditional and doesn't see the need for a survey. Do you have advice on how to convince them that a survey is important and necessary?
I'll take that. I wasn't sure if Bob was answering. So we had it's a similar situation for us that some people felt like everything was all set. Other people, we had newer members that we felt like we were not reaching. And one of the main things we said is to be able to better address the needs and the interests of everyone in the membership. Doing a survey provides us with that information. It doesn't mean that we're doing a survey because we think something's wrong, we think things aren't right. It gives us an opportunity to grow and develop, and it gives us an opportunity to hear everyone's voice and how they feel about how the club is working for them without putting them on the spot and doing it anonymously. So that would be a suggestion, just how to respond to that. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Do you share the results of the survey with the board or with your entire club?
We share it with the entire club. First, we shared it with the board. And then at a dinner meeting, we shared it with the entire club. And before we wrap up, we'll just show you the PDF of what the format looks like, just so that you can see how easy it is to view. But we did share it at the dinner meeting. And I will say that we did sanitize. We had some open-ended questions. And so we did sanitize those responses, full transparency, because we wanted to be transparent, but we didn't want to have all these negative comments. So we actually took the comments and then rolled them up into like categories and summarized them, because some were maybe too specific and were identifying, provided identifiers of people, of specific situations. So that would be the only thing I would caution with the open-ended. But yes, share the survey with the group, with the club.
Sandra, this is Tim Sweeney, everyone. As Bob mentioned, I'm both with the Manchester Hooksett Club, and I'd like to compliment both Bob and Sandra for the presentation this evening. It was spot on. One of the reasons for doing a survey, if you don't do a survey, what you'll find over the course of time is that your membership will begin to dwindle because the demographics begin to change. And we're a club that was chartered back in 1921, and about 5 years after the original Detroit club was chartered. And at that time, over the course of time, we had upwards of 100 members. Now we're down to about 50. People attending our actual meetings probably varies anywhere from 20 to 30 per meeting. And we were very concerned about the way forward for the committee. And so we really wanted to get an understanding of how do we get younger members in. When I joined the club years ago, the formats of the club were much different. I've been a member of the Manchester Club for 30 years and in Hooksett 20 plus years. And the demographics of the club have changed dramatically. The reasons for joining the club have changed dramatically, and the support by businesses for participating in these community social clubs has changed dramatically. And what we found was we had to find a new way to breathe new life into these clubs. Otherwise, if you look at the attrition of clubs over the course of time, you'll find many of them start out with a lot of enthusiasm and they die a natural death within 5 to 10 years. So you really, really have to continually take a pulse of where your membership is.
Mhm.
And we started that by developing a committee, a good cross-section of young people and older members who had, we got together and really tried to understand what is it that the meeting represents. Our focus was meetings. How do we get people to meetings? As Bob mentioned, we had an evening meeting, we had a breakfast meeting, and what we eventually came up with is that it was kind of a flip of the coin for either one, but there was a preference by many of the younger people to do a morning meeting because they felt that they could get away at that particular time by coming into work maybe a little bit 15 minutes, 20 minutes later than they could to break away. When I originally got into the club, they were lunch meetings and they'd last 2 hours, start at 12, end at 2. And those days are long gone. Most of us don't have that kind of flexibility. So really understanding, focusing in on what you want that survey to present and yield to you at the very end, and making sure you have a good committee to begin with, instead of starting with a lot of basic assumptions based on your own experience. Get everyone involved so that they can help contribute to the survey development and give you the responses that you're really looking for, something that's realistic and will be valuable to you in the end.
Thank you, Tim. That was very well said. Absolutely. That is great. Elise, are there any other questions? I know we started a bit late, so if everyone's okay if we run over, I don't know if there's an 8 o'clock right after this, another one. Is there, Bryant? Okay,
No.
thank goodness. I was like, ding, ding, ding time. If we want to just break out and go into the breakout sessions, one of the things we talked about is just maybe for about 5 minutes in the breakout session, talking among yourselves about any suggestions or ideas you may have for what could be some potential questions on the survey, so people can hear your different ideas. And we can do that in a breakout room and then come back in. We'll shorten it a bit. I don't see Elise.
That sounds
there
great.
you are.
It's just my voice right now
Got
because
it.
I look all over the place like a crazy person when I'm moving all the people into breakout room and whatnot.
Yeah.
The last question was asking if you are willing to share the Google form that you created with the group.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So if you can send that over to us, we can get it out to everyone who's in attendance.
I can do that.
So what I'm going to do is I am going to push you guys into 4 breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are random. You should automatically go to the breakout room. The breakout room is set on a 5-minute timer. And at 4 minutes, you should get a warning that you have a 1 minute left. I think Sandra and Bob are going to pop into one room to start and then a second room, probably about 2.5 minutes in to kind of check in with everybody. So if you are having any technology issues, just hang out and I will help you, but it should automatically put you in the breakout rooms. I'm going to hit the button now.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope the breakout rooms were, I know it was fast, they were short and provided a little more detail with some ideas. And in the breakout room I was in, I was actually just talking about some of the questions that additional questions that we had done for our survey. I'm going to take just 2 minutes just to show you what the final survey looks like so that we can wrap up. Sorry. Oh, this technology sometimes. I'm going to swap over. 1 minute. I apologize. Actually exit it. I'm coming back over, everyone. Sorry about that. What? Oops. Oh. I apologize. I got a little lost in my screens. I couldn't come back. So here I am. Sharing. I couldn't make my way back. So this is just quickly, this is the format of the survey. And what happened was we took it from the Google form, saved it as a PDF. And you can have a printout like this that you can present. So you're not doing it from Google form, but this is just a PDF. And it has them numbered. It has, this is one of the bar charts with all the details of if you did not attend the dinner meetings, and it provides percentages. So this is, you know, some of our results. And just, we found that in looking at our dinner meetings that we had about 65% of people attending 6 or more dinner meetings that we thought were pretty good. And for those who did not, time doesn't work was the biggest issue. And then for our community service projects that we had about 93% participating in 1 or more, but the ones who didn't, again, it was the timing of the events that was the biggest concern. And then we asked about, you know, committees. We had about 81% attending, participating on committees. The ones that did not, everything came back to time for us. So when we saw all of these responses regarding time, and that just raised a red flag for us. Other couple questions was just knowing about public relations, and do they think that we're sharing the information, and how's the newsletter? But we can share that with you as well. But our main takeaway was that the time was very impactful to our members and figuring out ways to get around that. But we'll share the survey results.
This is Sylvia from the Chelsea Club. Excuse me. One of the challenges that we have a very small club, but the challenges we were having was that the time of the meeting. So we've decided to rotate our meetings. So we have a breakfast meeting, a lunch dinner, and a dinner meeting, and then again a lunch meeting, and then we rotate them. And it works. Not everybody can attend the lunch meeting. No, obviously not everybody can attend a breakfast meeting. But we have better quality of participation by rotating them.
Absolutely.
That's what is working for us. And that may be an option for some other clubs. And the fact that we are having the option to have a Zoom meeting as well, it gives capacity for more people to participate when they're afraid of leaving their home.
Those are great suggestions, and that's what Manchester Club did with what Tim was talking about with the times. I know we need to wrap up, Bob. I didn't know if you had anything else to add, and if there were any additional questions that were in the chat. Bob?
No, I think we got pretty much all the questions. We will get the our survey and our results out to everybody, so you can look at how it all went down. And if you have any questions at all, Brian has my information, and he can send that out. And we certainly would be willing to answer any of those questions, and look forward to everybody having a much better year in 2021 than we did last year. And let's hope that we can have ourselves a couple of conferences this year too.
Woohoo! Absolutely.
We can be together in person. But
great.
thank you all very much. We really
Great job, guys. Thank you. It's wonderful.
And we'll turn it over to Brian. And if you have questions about how to do the Google Forms and everything, please, Brian can share my information, because I can definitely walk you through that. If you're on Zoom and you're in Google Form, I can help you with that, and we'll share those details. So we're available to do that. Thank you, Brian.
Well, thank you so much, Sandra and Bob.
Thank you, Brian.
This was great, and Tim for jumping in and sharing. That was such a great presentation. I love that you not only talked about how the surveys work, but also how to build an actual one. That's fantastic. I want to thank all of you for joining us for tonight's workshop. If you haven't already, please remember to sign up for our January sessions. I'm going to ask Elise to share what we have coming up for the remainder of the month. So tonight we had our session on what do members think of your club, and next week we have Elise presenting on self-care and mindfulness, tactics for caring for yourself and your mental health and reducing stress, especially during the pandemic. So that's one you won't want to miss. On January 20th, we have District Secretary Stephen Hill, who will present club filing and reporting, which will be an overview of annual reports that your club must file with the state and federal governments. And on January 27th, we have Jessica Plant and Donna Roberts from the Kiwanis Club, who are presenting socially distant service projects, hands-on service projects that your club can do while social distancing. So I want to remind everyone to please sign up for these sessions and encourage your other fellow members to do the same. They're provided at no cost to you and free as Kiwanis Learning Opportunities. You can find more information on our district Facebook page, in our district Facebook group, and on the registration link that's in the chat. You can also share recordings of these sessions with your club members who are unable to attend live. And a reminder that if you did not receive an email about the January workshops, to please check your promotions or your spam folder, or send us an email at education@newenglandkiwanis.org for more information. So with that, thank you again to Sandra and Bob. A big thank you to Elise Denorfia, who's our tech guru, for our tech expert for managing all of tonight's technology. And thank you to all of you for joining us for What Do Your Members Think About Your Club? We hope to see you next Wednesday. And as always, stay safe, be well, and thank you for being a Kiwanian.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
You too, thanks.
Night, night, everybody.
No.
Good night.
Thank
All
you.
the way from Bermuda.
Where it's nice and warm. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.